just make a point out something right here. It says churches and religious organizations. To the IRS, those are two different entities. A church, by their definition, is, like I said, a mosque, synagogue, temple, right? But also, a church is one who has not filled out for the tax exemptions qualifications, hasn't filled out that paperwork. But a religious organization is one who has filled out that organization. So I can be a church and I go and ask them for permission to be tax exempt. I am no longer a church anymore. Now I'm a religious organization. And now I'm in their jurisdiction. They play with words. Because you would assume religious organization and church is the same. No, not true. Not by the IRS definition. They are not the same. One is that sovereignty and the other one doesn't. Okay? Any confusion? All right. The organization must be organized, operate exclusive for religious education, scientific, or other charitable purposes. Net earnings may not inure to the benefit of any private individual or shareholder. No substantial part of its activity may be attempting to influence legislation. The organization may not intervene in political campaigns, and the organization's purposes and activities may not be illegal or violate fundamental public policy. So any organization that applies for these statuses to be tax exempt can't mess around in politics. Like there was this one pastor some months back talking about let's boycott Target. So another organization came after them saying that they was mixing the two and a petition to IRS to take their tax exempt status away from them. This wasn't the IRS coming after them. Some other watchdog organization ratted them out and said, you need to go look at this, people. Now, if they investigate and they find ruling against them, their tax exempt status is revoked from the time they opened up the doors. So if that was 20 years ago, they would have to pay taxes to the government from the time they opened up until that point. That's how serious it is not to be filling out that nonsense, because you'll find yourself with that problem. Recognition of tax exempt status. Automatic exemption for churches. Churches that meet the requirements of RSC Section 501c3 are automatically considered tax exempt. There it is again. It says meet the requirements of 5. It's still, it just reinforces that a church is still, in the IRS eyes, a 501c3 organization. It just has an exception. It has a disqualification. Are automatically considered tax exempt and are not required to apply for and obtain recognition of tax exempt status from the IRS. Although, this is in their manual, although there is no requirement to do so, many churches seek recognition of tax exempt status from the IRS because this recognition assures church leaders, members, and contributors that the church is recognized as exempt and qualifies for related tax benefits. For example, contributors to a church that has been recognized as tax exempt would know their contributions generally are tax deductible. See, this is the BS that they promote, right? So what they're saying that churches will apply for these statuses so that they can give their members and whoever's donating them the comfortability of them having their contributions tax deductible. And they use the word recognized. Right? That's a significant word, recognize. Recognition doesn't make you tax exempt. That just means you're recognized. It's like me seeing one of you guys in the street. I've seen you before, and I see you again. Oh, that's what's his name? Oh, I recognize him. I didn't make you because I see you now. You were always that way. So that means that churches are already tax exempt by definition under the IRS code. As it says, they don't have to fill out anything or do anything to become tax exempt. You see? But popular opinion or misguided information. Oh, go get this paperwork. And you just put yourself in their jurisdiction. And anytime they feel like coming after you, they can. So, give me a second. Any questions?
I can honestly say that's one of the reasons why I'm here, because I actually did that when I had a church.
Right. You
What
went
you
to
said,
apply because you thought you
file,
had to.
Yep.
Right? Because
Yep.
it's the only way I'm at. But they're telling you is that there's no requirement. They accepted you. But and the reason why most people, I'm going to ask you some questions when I get to that portion about how you set up your church, because it's key things that you must do, and especially when you're dealing with the IRS, to make sure that you're automatically tax exempt.
Okay.
And most people don't. I have people, I'll get to that. So when you fill out for this tax exempt status, all you getting is recognitions. You get your name and lights on their website. That's it. And you're also getting the handcuffs of them being able to control your church. That's the bigger thing. So in exchange for this recognition, you're giving up all of your freedom. All of it as a church. And the illusion that you're free when you're not. All right.
All right.
All right. So stop that. Let's go back to the slides. I think, was there any other thing? No. Let's share. Tax exempt status automatically recognized under 50 IRS section 501 508C1A. No governmental oversight, freedom from 501c3 restrictions on speech and church activities, asset protection, church property and finances are secured in the trust, perpetual existence. The trust continues behind the lives of individual members, sovereign church governance. The church maintains control over doctrine, operations, and outreach, privacy and confidentiality. Unlike 501c3 entities that fill out for the paperwork, financial and operational records are not required to be disclosed to the government. So, using an irrevocable trust for church structure, and peace, 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 prosperity, and extreme wealth to everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Truths Tuesday show. And today we're going to be talking about this case, U.S. Bank National Association versus Ibanez. And it's about quiet title situation. Very important case for all of you who may be facing a foreclosure. You may be facing foreclosure and things like that. Or, if you just want the information. Let me turn the music down here a little bit. It sounds too loud for me. How's my sound? Anybody? How's it sound? How's it sound? Somebody hit me up in the chat. Let me know what the sound sounds like. Well, I'm assuming that it's good because on my levels here, it looks like it's good to me. Turn this up. I think my mic's a little low. That video I was showing you prior to starting the show was called the In God We Trust webinar that talks about trust, how to set up trust, how to set up church, all of those things. You can go to my website, akeeml.com, akeeml.com. I will put it in the chat, my website, and you can get that lesson. Somebody said they could hear me. There we go. So I'm gonna get into this case because my time is short tonight. So I want to read through it, give y'all what y'all need. But if you want the In God We Trust webinar, it's on my website, akemail.com. Also, I'm doing a quiet title webinar. I told you guys earlier this year that I was going to do something like this. So in May 23rd on a Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, I will be doing a webinar on that. Right now, the price is $97 for the next 48 hours. After that, it's going to go up to $125 per seat. I recommend you get it. Because as you know, where I fight cases is different. I fight, lawyers always coming in representing like they got all this information, but we know lawyers, they got hearsay. They don't have facts unless they bring a witness. And when you're dealing with these banks, no one is ever sitting on the other side of that table. No one. So there's no true, competent, fact witness sitting there. And you must challenge that in your case. Because although nothing is guaranteed for you to win a case, but you will win in appeal if you do what you need to do up front. All right, so let's read this. Let me share the screen. Let's share the screen. Oh, by the way, that's not what I want to share. Not my music. I want to share Google Chrome. By the way, I was on my Facebook Hindsight Radio page. I don't know if you guys are members of that page. Go to that page, like it. I was just posting videos. And next thing you know, I had like a surge. I had one video get like 167,000 views. Usually I'm a few thousand here, nothing like that. And I was like, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Consistency. I tell you guys, all you got to do is consistency. And one day you'll go look at your page and you see thousands of followers. I got probably 5,000 followers in just one day off of a post. You never know what's going to hit. This is why you have to be consistent. I've been down with this for 11 years. My YouTube page, I just posted a debt collection video and boom, 1,000. I wasn't even paying attention, but he went over there. I had like 3,000 followers. Oh, whoa, wow, okay. Although YouTube got me kind of shadow banned because of the information that I present, Facebook is another story. Hindsight Radio page. Look for the Hindsight Radio page, and you will go ahead and like the page. Let me make sure I got this. Google Chrome. Why is this looking halfway? Something not right. Okay, let's see. Oh, I see why. Do that. There we go. There we go. All right, consistency is the key. You don't have to be a rocket science. You don't have to have a perfect setup. Just get started. I always tell you guys. So let's read this case. U.S. Bank National Association Trustee versus Antonio Ibanez in a consolidated case. Date is January 7, 2011. So let me give you the history. In two separate civil actions brought in the land court pursuant to GLC 240 Section 6 by the plaintiff banks. Now, these are the banks bringing these actions. As trustees seeking judgments declaring that they held clear title in fee simple to properties that they had foreclosed on. So these banks have foreclosed on these properties. Now they're trying to quiet the title, basically. Having claimed the authority to foreclose as the eventual assignees of the mortgages. Right? They weren't assigned the mortgage. They said eventual assignees. And this is how banks move. They move ahead of where they need to be in order to, because they're arrogant. They know the judges are in their favor and they get what they want. But in this case, they got shocked. It said eventual assignees of the mortgages and purchased back
at foreclosure sales. So they foreclosed and they bought the homes back. They bought the home. The bank, y'all know banks ain't supposed to own homes. Y'all know that, right? But they do it. They do it all the time. Foreclosure sales. The judge did not err in concluding that the securitization documents submitted by the plaintiffs failed to demonstrate that they were holders of the mortgages at the times of the publication of the notices of the foreclosure sales and of the sales themselves. And the judge therefore did not err in rendering judgments against the plaintiffs and in denying the plaintiffs' motion to vacate the judgment. Civil actions commenced in the land court department on September 6th and October 30th, 2008. Motions for entry of default judgment and to vacate judgment are heard by Keith C. Long J. The Supreme Judicial Court granted an application for direct appellate review. R. Bruce Allensworth, Phoebe S. Winder, and Robert W. Sparks III with him for U.S. Bank National Association and another. Paul R. Collier III, Max W. Weinstein with him, and Antonio Ibanez. Glenn F. Russell Jr. for Mark A. Larace and another. The following submitted briefs for amici curiae. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. I could be saying it wrong. Martha Coakley, Attorney General, and John M. Stephen, Assistant Attorney General for the Commonwealth. Kevin Costello, Gary Klein, Sheenan Kavanaugh, and Stuart Rossman for National Consumer Law Center and others. Ward P. Graham and Robert J. Moriarty Jr. for Real Estate Bar Associate for Massachusetts, Inc. Let me get to the meat. All these name reading. Let me just move on. Honorable mention, Marie McDonald Pro Se, meaning she is a self-represented litigant. After foreclosing on two properties, y'all need to hear this very closely. After foreclosing on two properties and purchasing the properties back at the foreclosure sales, U.S. Bank National Association, U.S. Bank, as trustee for the Structured Asset Securities Corporation Mortgage Pass-Through Certificate Series 2006-G, and Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., Wells Fargo as trustee for ABFC 2005 Opt 1 Trust. So they're doing everything in trust. Once you get a mortgage, it goes into a pools, securitized, and it's part of a trust. ABFC Asset Backed Certificate Series 2005 Opt 1 plaintiffs filed separate complaints in the land court asking judges to declare that they held clear title to the property in fair simple. We agree with the judge that the plaintiffs, who were not the original mortgagees, failed to make the required showing that they were the holders of the mortgage at the time of the foreclosure. So how can they? So what they're saying, they foreclosed and they wasn't even the holders of the mortgages, and the court let them foreclose. This is why I tell you these things are rigged. As a result, they did not demonstrate that the foreclosure sales were valid to convey title to the subject properties, and their requests for declaration of clear title were properly denied. So they tried to quiet the title, and it was denied because they were not the owners of the notes at the time of the foreclosure. So how were they able to foreclose? Then not only did they foreclose, they went back and bought the properties. Fraud all the way through. Procedural history. On July 5th, 2007, U.S. Bank as trustee foreclosed on the mortgage of Antonio Ibanez and purchased the Ibanez property at the foreclosure sale. On the same day, Wells Fargo as trustee foreclosed on the mortgage of Mark and Tammy Larossi and purchased the Larossi property at that foreclosure sale. In September and October of 2008, U.S. Bank and Wells Fargo brought separate actions in the land court. Notice the court. They brought the actions in land court. Look that up. Land court. Under GLC 240 Section 6. which authorizes actions to quiet or establish the title to land situated in the Commonwealth or to remove a cloud from the title thereto. The two complaints sought identical relief, a judgment that the right title in interest of the mortgagor, mortgagor, Ibanez and Larasis in the property were extinguished. So they said their rights were extinguished because they got foreclosed on. Right? By the foreclosure, a declaration that there was no cloud on the title arising from publication of the notice of sale in the Boston Globe. And 3, a declaration that title was vested in the plaintiff's trustee and fee simple. U.S. Bank and Wells Fargo each asserted in its complaint that it had become the holder of the respective mortgage through an assignment made after the foreclosure sale. In both cases, the mortgagors, Ibanez and Larasi, did not initially answer the complaints, so they defaulted. And the plaintiffs moved for entry of default judgment. In their motions for entry of default judgment, the plaintiffs addressed 2 issues. One, whether the Boston Globe, in which the required notices of foreclosure sales were published, is a newspaper of general circulation in Springfield, the town where the foreclosed properties lay. So that means they were required to put it on notice in a proper publication. See GLC 244, Section 14, requiring publication every week for 3 weeks in newspaper published in town where foreclosed property lies or of general circulation in that town. And 2, whether the plaintiffs were legally entitled to foreclose on the properties where the assignments of the mortgages to the plaintiffs were neither executed nor recorded in the registry of deeds until after the foreclosure sale. The 2 cases were heard together by the land court along with the 3rd case that raised the same issue. On March 26, 2009, judgment was entered against the plaintiffs. The judge ruled that the foreclosure sale were invalid because, in violation of GLC 244, Section 14, the notices of foreclosure sales named U.S. Bank in the Ibanez foreclosure and Wells Fargo in the Larasi foreclosure as a mortgage holders where they had not yet been assigned the mortgages. The judge found, based on each plaintiff's assertions in his complaint, that the plaintiffs required the mortgages by assignment only after the foreclosure sales and thus had no interest in the mortgages being foreclosed at the time of publication of the notices of sale or at the time of foreclosure sales. Bam. Now, I can keep reading. Now, in summary, they tried to vacate this or the judgment and got denied. Right? When they tried to vacate it, the court said, produce the documents that you have these, what you say you have, the rights to these properties. Let me just read this next paragraph to just kind of give you an idea. The plaintiffs then moved to vacate the judgment. At a hearing on the motions on April 17, 2009, the plaintiffs conceded that each complaint alleged a post-notice, post-foreclosure sale assignment of the mortgage at issue, but they now represented to the judge that the documents might exist that could show a pre-notice, pre-foreclosure sale assignment of the mortgages. The judge granted the plaintiffs leave to produce such documents, provided they were produced in the form they existed in at the time the foreclosure sale was noticed and conducted. In response, the plaintiffs submitted hundreds of pages of documents to the judge, which they claim established the mortgages had been assigned to them before the foreclosure. Many of these documents related to the creation of the securitized mortgage pools in which the Ibanez and Larasi mortgages were purportedly included. The judge denied the plaintiff's motion to vacate judgment on October 14, 2009, concluding the newly submitted documents did not alter the conclusion that the plaintiffs were not the holders of the respective mortgages at the time of the foreclosure. We granted the parties' application for direct appellate review. So they went to appeals court. So I'm not going to read the rest of this. I'm just trying to give y'all some ammunition. This is common in foreclosure cases. This is common. Let me give y'all a link so y'all can go read this for yourself. Then I'll break this down. Because I'm about to take this off the screen. There it is in the chat. This is common in foreclosure cases where banks are coming in foreclosure and they really don't have the assignment. And the other thing that's common, they'll come in, like your servicer will come in and sue you in a foreclosure case, right? They're not the ones that signed the mortgage. It's someone behind that. So they're not even a proper party to be suing, right? But then later on, they will try to switch the plaintiff out for a trust and have a trustee come against you that will never show up to court. So, given the information I've always taught you about what is considered evidence, they tried to throw a whole bunch of papers at the judge, and the judge said, no, this ain't right. And that's what they're doing in these courts. They're just throwing anything out there because they don't have the original paperwork. So the win is on your side, but the way we've been fighting these things all of these years, the note's supposed to follow the mortgage, blah, blah, that all sounds good, but then, see, you ain't going to win that way. How you going to win is who is standing in that plaintiff's seat arguing the case? A lawyer who must present competent evidence, meaning a witness with firsthand knowledge, not bogus affidavits that they bring in. They can never bring the proper party in. When I was in a situation in a foreclosure, I argued Trinity versus Pagalaro, basically. This is not a competent fact witness here. That case stalled for 3 years almost. When the case got accelerated is when I allowed someone to come into my case to help me who was supposed to be an expert, and they started arguing mortgage, And then all of a sudden, the lawyers accelerated. They was going after everything. Boom. I was like, what happened? I had them on the ropes before. They weren't even trying to do nothing until I did that argument. So that mortgage note following routine is garbage. Don't even work. Do that. Why you need to argue that? Wait a minute. We can't get past first base unless we know who is actually in this courtroom speaking. A lawyer, all he can do is give statements. He can't give facts. He can present facts through what? Affidavits from witnesses with firsthand knowledge, or open testimony in court, or you depose them on a deposition. Anything other than that, that's not a competent fact witness. And if you keep the court in that space, they will never be able to move forward. But the problem is, like I did, I fell for it. You start, things drag out, things go on for a long time, and you want the thing to be over with. Excuse me, hold on. All right, sorry. You want everything to be over with. So it's not happening. So maybe let me see if I can move this along. No, don't rush. Longer you stay in court, the better off you are. Now, here's some advice. If you're going to be down the road of foreclosure, the two things you need to be taking care of, because they're going to look at that. Out of your pocket, you need to pay the insurance on that property and the taxes. Keep that up, because if people be in foreclosure for years, 10, 15 years, not paying nothing, living in a house, not paying anything, not even paying the property taxes or the insurance. And what the judge is going to do is, well, what have you been doing all this time? Have you been paying the taxes? No. Well, I thought it was your property. You say you own it, clip free and clip. How you letting them pay it? You letting the bank still pay it, because they will keep paying it while it's in foreclosure. That's not fair. See, that's the problem. A lot of these broke ass people don't want to pay for nothing. people come to me, oh, I got a foreclosure, I'm about to be kicked out, blah, 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 blah. And then when I start telling them, hey, well, this is what it's going to cost you. You want my time. Oh, well, why y'all charging so much? You ain't paid a damn mortgage in 10, 11, 12, 13 years, and you want to come at me to help you keep your house? You don't want to do nothing for my time? But yet people talk about they're against slavery. That's slavery. That's what you call making somebody a slave. You want me to put in the work, all of the hard work of helping you clear out, and you don't want to give me a dime. See, people, I tell them to go somewhere with that. I got some strong words, but I'm posting this live on Facebook, so I gotta be careful from what I really want to say. Pay the taxes and pay the insurance. Now, when you go to court, hey, I don't know what they're talking about. They can't prove nothing. Yeah, I've been paying the taxes every year. Now you look like you're in honor and you get to win the property. These people defaulted. In this case, the people that they defaulted, they didn't even show up to court. And still couldn't quiet the title. Why? The defects. Wait a minute, hold up. You didn't even have the assignment, and now you want to come quiet the title. You didn't have the right. What they're saying, they didn't even have the right to foreclose. So that means those people need to go through a vacate void judgment and use this case, the decision from the judge, to go back and get their homes. I don't know what they did after that. With all the people watching, I should have some more likes, yo. Should have some more likes. See what I'm saying? But read the case. Quiet title webinar, May 23rd, I believe. It's on my website, akimel.com. I'll be breaking it down. I always give y'all templates to work with. Expert guidance. They just revealed all of these banks do the same thing. They just showed you these guys don't really have rights to these mortgages when they're suing. But they know the courts. They're so arrogant. They know the courts are always ruling in their favor. They go do stuff like this. All right. I think I gave y'all enough to think about. If you have a foreclosure, come get a consultation from me at keymel.com. Yes, it's going to cost you, but it ain't going to be a waste of your money. And what I do when people get a consultation, if they do buy an extra service, I normally include, hey, add that consultation fee to whatever service that you get from me. So it counts towards a service. If you don't get a service, you just pay for that. All right, akimel.com for all consultations. If you got a foreclosure, I could definitely help you. Put my thing in there. All right. All right, I'm out. I'm out for the evening. Tomorrow is the question and answer portion of the. So tomorrow, I'll be sending out. Go to my website, sign up, and I will send out the link for the Zoom call tomorrow. It's free of charge. If you don't want to do the conversation, you can come in on the Q&A and ask about your foreclosure tomorrow. All right. Peace, prosperity, extreme wealth to everyone. Y'all have a good night. So you got to go on a route that I just spoke. Property following. What your lawyers said stricken for the record because he's a stranger to me. He's an attorney representing the bank, and the bank's not here, and the judge said, you're absolutely right. And I screwed up by saying more than I should have. I should have shut up right then and there. And I started saying, well, I don't know. I don't have the vehicle in my possession. So they skipped that part and moved on. That's why I should have stayed right there. The whole case would have been dismissed, and I'd have been done with it right then and there. But long story short, they got a judgment to get the car from me. So they sent the sheriff to a house I wasn't living at. But they know where I was, so they called me.
I got on the phone with the sheriff. I said, look, I said, will you read the order? The order said it ain't in my possession. She said, you know what, it's right. You ain't got the vehicle. Why are they sending me to get this from you when it says you don't have it? The order specifically said they can get it, but the vehicle is not in my possession. So wherever they find it, they can get it. But it wasn't even in their jurisdiction. It was in Georgia. So those cases that cases only have jurisdiction for South Carolina. So they couldn't get the vehicle. Long story short, they did what happened to whoever said they got that 1099. They did that to me. I get no bill. Said I owe somebody. Why? Because I had stuff in place where I hit the IRS saying, explain these deals to me that I owe this. Plus, I'm not doing contracts with them. See, you probably did a tax return that same year that you opened up a contract for them to even do that. There's no open contract for me to be involved in that. So they can't say I owe or whatever because I didn't do a tax return and not put that on it. See, when you did your tax return, to them, it looked like you left out the 1099. Now they're adding it in and saying you owe it. That's basically, they redid your tax return for you. See, I don't have a contract where they could say, okay, you left this out. See, those things are just statements of which they making claims. So what happens is when I do a tax return, someone enters a statement 1099A. Now I'm doing a tax return, I left it out. There's no balancing. So they're gonna balance it out for me. Unless I dispute it. See, if you disputed that would have never been added into your tax return. You didn't dispute it. So then they go and say, well, you owe us some money. Boom, boom, boom. They said they mail it, and they love mailing to wrong addresses. They do. So that's why you got IRS letters are just like third-party debt collectors. Answer them within 30 days. If you don't, it becomes real. Okay? So with the car, they did the 1099A. Oh, okay, great. Now I don't owe it. And then they sent me a statement that I owe them no more money. Now my only problem is I don't have the title to the truck. I don't care. But guess what? I just keep dealer plates on it. I don't care. Dealer plates on it. I don't even insure it because then insure means I have to register it. Then that might bring up that order, all of that stuff. But once I get the title, I won't have to worry about that no more. Because what I'll do is take the title and sell it to my trust. Now it's under the trust and no one can touch it. New title, no one can touch that trust. They still can't touch it now because that order, that was like almost 3 years ago now. It's done. So with that car, just unless you want to sell it, that's the only time you're going to worry about needing the title. Really. Is it operational? Okay. Now, then don't worry about it. You're just trying to worry about the credit part. Okay. Okay. All right, yeah. They coming at you. Are they coming forward like a third-party debt collector? Yeah, just send them a letter, man. Shut them down. Hey, I don't owe you nothing. He's still a third-party debt collector. Right. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If they're coming in as a different name. So if it's a Bank of America legal department, that's a different name. Right. He's still a lawyer. He still don't have first-hand knowledge. They use the lawyer title for intimidation. That's all. They don't mean nothing. They still the same as any other third-party debt collector. Now, if they try to sue you, which they might, they're gonna bring a lawyer to the room. He still gotta follow rules of evidence. First-hand knowledge. Only person with first-hand knowledge can speak in that courtroom as a witness. Right. Who you was sitting there witness you signed the contract. Right. Don't argue about whether you owe or not. The point you want to make is who's accusing me? Is it the real party who witnessed me sign it? They might even send a document certified saying that you owe this, but it still got to be from somebody that first-hand knowledge. It's not your signature. How's it your signature? Because all they're going to do is show you a photocopy. That's not your signature. It's like, no, that's not my signature. It's a copy of what purports to be my signature. This your wording, how you address it. You know, hey, it seems like it's my that it looks like a copy of what looks like my signature, but no, that's not my actual red ink signature. Right? And most times they can't even bring them original contract. But even if they brought the original contract, who's going to testify that you did that? You know you have a right not to incriminate yourself, right? You can remain silent on that question. I can either confirm or deny. All right, passport. Anything else before I move on to this? All right. All that stuff I said about nationality comes down to this. How you fill this out. You'll run into people that talk about you need to correct your nationality. You need to correct your nationality. And they have all this long, drawn-out paperwork for you. And I'm here to tell you this is all you need to do. All. And this here tells you I can skip everything and go straight to the oath because that's where the answer is. In the oath. Right here on the application. And the whole key is not to look like a U.S. citizen, right? And this is the part, they don't read this first part to you. They'll start right here. Number 2, the statements made on this application are true and correct. I have not knowingly whoever went for a passport before. This is the part they read to you. They don't read the first part. They read all of the part about your photograph is you and all that stuff is correct, right? This thing been going on. Nobody important. Good. All right. Let's read the actual oath from the beginning. It says, I declare under penalty of perjury all of the following. I am a citizen or non-citizen national of the United States and have not, since acquiring U.S. citizenship or nationality, performed any of the acts listed under acts and conditions on page 4 of this instructions of this application. Are you familiar with that? Anybody familiar with that statement? So can somebody interpret that? It's all legalese, and I don't expect y'all to get it 100% right. Can you kind of give me the gist of what that just said? No. It's saying I declare under penalty of perjury all of the following. What you're saying, you're making a declaration to the facts here, saying that all of this is true and correct. And if not, you can charge me with a crime, right? Everything on this application is true. That's what this is, I declare under. But what I want you to focus on is number 1. It says, I am a citizen of the United States or non-citizen national of the United States and have not, since acquiring U.S. citizenship or nationality, performed any of the acts listed under acts and conditions on page 4 of this instructions of this application, unless explanatory statements is attached. I'm gonna give somebody another shot, then I'll break it down. Right? But start at the beginning. Don't skip the beginning part. You went to the end. Right. You're making a declaration that you're what? You going there. That you one of these, right? Perform and performed any of the acts listed in the acts and conditions on page 4 of the instruction application, unless what? Okay, so what is this saying? I'm gonna break it down. It's saying you're a U.S. citizen, you're a citizen of the United States or a non-citizen national of the United States unless you do two things. You do what acts and conditions says on page 4, and you attach explanatory statements. So it's saying that you're a U.S. citizen. You're going to be looked at as a U.S. citizen unless you do what's on page 4 and supply your explanatory statement. See, they did it in legalese to confuse you so you would never get it. And if I didn't break this down, y'all would have never saw that, right? Because they did it backwards. Instead of just saying, hey, listen, if you're not a U.S. citizen, just go to acts and conditions and follow the instructions and give us explanatory statements. They just said it in layman terms. They know we are not lawyers because this was written by a lawyer to just confuse you, just like the Bible says. Christ has said, you lawyers blind the minds of the people, something to that effect. He condemned lawyers, so this is telling you not to even get a lawyer, right? So they did this to cause confusion. So if they wrote that in the Bible, that means it's been going on for however long, these type of confusing statements. So let's go to acts and conditions. How many people got a passport in here or have tried to get one? Few of y'all. Did y'all ever read the acts and conditions on page 4? Didn't even know it existed, right? There's acts and conditions right there. Can y'all read that? Now, I did a seminar back in, well, it wasn't really a seminar. I'm part of another group, 12 of us. And it was one guy who thought he knew everything. And he was, yo, you can't do nothing over here. Because it says here, I'm waiting till they get back because this is very important. Wait, no, that's fine. I know people got to do their thing. Go ahead and get y'all a snack, whatever. Lauren, you want a snack from over there? You sure? Don't be shy. You know these things here are the truth. I remember one day I was sneezing, and the put me on these. He said, take one of these. It was gone. Everybody back from the bathroom? Huh? I drank 2 bottles of almost that water. That just ran through me. Imagine doing this for 2 days. 8 hours a pop. I'm out of whack right now because I haven't done one since March, and then after I did one in Charlotte, they shut everything down. I kind of enjoyed that little vacation because I was doing one every month, traveling from different states. You know, I was in Washington, Arizona, Texas. It was wearing on me. Like, man, I enjoy doing them when I'm doing them, but it's just that traveling, the hotel, and I get in and get out. I come in the day before, and then I'm on the plane, hopefully by the evening or the next morning. And it gets taxing. I like being home. Y'all ready? That brother went to the bathroom. This is it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, acts or conditions. So it says you need to, if you haven't done anything here, and if you have, explain it. So it says, if any of the below mentioned acts or conditions have been performed by or applied to the applicant, the portion which applies should be lined out. So what does that mean when it says line out? Right. So it says which applies. See, they even did that backwards. Usually when you line out something, it doesn't apply, right? Very confusing, right? You think they did that, just because they didn't know what they were doing? They're trying to deliberately deceive you. Right. So you line out. People sit there, yeah, highlight. No, it says lined out. And a supplementary explanatory statement under oath or affirmation by the applicant should be attached and made part of this application. Now, I'm going to tell you how crazy people are. I have guys go do my process, go in there and do their explanatories and do their line outs, and the people will sit there and tell you can't do that. You can't do it, right? You tried it before? Right. And the daggone rules say you can do it. It'll say it. No. And then some places will refuse to even take your application. That's why I say do it on religion. Because at that point, they can't shut you down. Now they're hindering with your religious beliefs when they stop you from doing it. So my affidavits are done on religion. You see? Oh. Thank you. So my application is done off religion. So when they start talking that mess, hey, are you interfering with me from practicing my religious beliefs right now? And are you purporting to even teach me law? Because when you go to do the application, people are just there to take the application, verify that you are the person executing this application. That's their own job. Pay the fees and send it off to the Department of State to process, and they're the ones who make a determination whether you're going to get a passport or not. These people are acting like gatekeepers, and they're doing a job that ain't even their job. So when guys call me up, they not letting me. They won't let me. Stop telling me. That's one thing that's irritating me when people call me and say what they won't let them do. I said, listen, you're allowing them not to let you do it. Don't say they say, they say. They can say whatever they want, but if it ain't written on paper and in the rules, then what they say don't mean nothing to me. Because I'm showing you where it says do that. Now, this is the part where most people get confused. And everybody, whether they're trying to be a national or not, need to be in this section reading. When I get to a certain part, you'll see what you need, why everyone should be on this acts and conditions. Okay? So it says, I have not, since acquiring United States citizenship or nationality, been naturalized as a citizen of a foreign state. Let's stop right there. How many people took an oath to be a United States citizen in this room? Where you come from? You were born in Georgia. So you went down and naturalized? Okay, so you good. If you ain't do that, if you didn't do that, then you good. All right. Now, military, you took an oath of allegiance to the military, and that you would commit for so many years to be in that service. But once you left that service, you went back to what? Civilian life, right? You go back to the original status. Right. While you're under that contract, you are a U.S. citizen and have to follow all their rules. You're no longer under that contract anymore. But that doesn't mean that you can't still receive your retirement. You still get that money. Whenever it comes to money, get the money. Okay? Don't be talking about I ain't a U.S. citizen, I'm not taking your check. Take that check. Okay? Don't let these fools tell y'all, because most people that tell you not to take the check, guess what? They broke. Okay? And the reason why they tell you, because they want you to be broke like them. You're going to read a lot of poor righteous teachers in this business. Okay? Telling you this. Y'all going to run into them, and a few of y'all might call me and say, well, this guy said this and that. And first thing I'm going to ask you, how is he living? Okay? I live good. Okay? And I don't be ashamed to say I don't live good. I believe in being compensated for my time and my efforts. But in return, I'm going to give you the best information possible to help you. You could do something with what I'm telling you. Some of the stuff I told people in here just liberated some people mentally when it came to debt. Y'all was worried about this thing being on your credit report, and I'm telling you, who cares about a credit report? You don't tell me how good I am. But you just got to know how to work around it. There's always a workaround. Companies come into business. Most companies go out of business within the first 2 years. About 85% of them go out of business in the first 2 years. And a lot of them be out of business They don't even fill out the paperwork the next year. Like, you know how every year you got to do the Secretary of State paper? They don't even do that. So they out of business just because they don't want to renew the stuff. Right? So why y'all worried? It's nothing to worry about. It's just numbers on the paper. That credit report do not represent who you really are. Okay? You can't get, you don't want credit under that social anymore anyway. I don't have any credit. I got one thing under my social right now is just a house that I own, that I did back in 2002. And my ex-wife, she lives there, but she keeps screwing the credit up. She can't get it totally off my name. You see what I'm saying? But as you know, I could force it, but you know, I ain't got time for all that. I'm on the bigger and better thing. So it says, I have not been naturalized a citizen of a foreign state. You are naturalized a citizen of a foreign state. Which foreign state is that? Georgia, and what else? Remember what I said, spirituality? No. Spirituality first. You naturalized under the kingdom of heaven. Come on, y'all. Automatic. How did you get here? You didn't get, that didn't happen by some mechanical means. That came from divine intervention, how you got here. It could have been it was a million options of someone else being here, but you got here. So that was by design, right? There was millions of them little things trying to get in that egg, knocking on the door, banging, let me in. And one came in, and that was you. That can't be nothing but divine intervention. That can't be nothing but ordained, right? Everybody's ordained to be here. Everybody. This idea there's only one person ordained, this and that, that's total garbage. Everybody's ordained and have a special divine purpose to be here. You're not here to watch football games, play, you know, that's stuff you do for entertainment, but you are here to leave a divine footprint before this body goes. And then the spirit goes off back into the infinite. And then guess what it does? Come right on back. You know, some people call it reincarnation. You know, and that wasn't it. Every spiritual guru, Christ, whatever you want, Buddha, all of them had some form of reincarnation, or they are a reincarnation of a prophet or spiritual leader before them. They just keep coming back with the same thing. And they took this guy and called him Christ. What, you know, some people say it's Yahshua. But he's the same, represents the same energy, the same spirit. That is that you are to become him. You are supposed, you will never know anything Buddha, Christ, or any of these things until you become that. You won't know the Christ until you become the Christ. And that's the whole walk, is to become that higher consciousness and realizing where your real power is. And the power was given to you the moment that electrical charge, because that was an explosion that happened in that egg. You go boof, and then mitosis splits 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so on and so forth. I can't even count that high. So, taking an oath or made an affirmation or other form of declaration of allegiance to a former state, right? Y'all got allegiance to what? Right here. That's a foreign state. See, they don't define foreign state because they want you to assume that foreign state means another country. And you notice how it's written, right? Entered or served in the armed forces of a foreign state. Churches can have armed forces too. Except actually the Catholic Church, that's what nuns and monks were. Mercenaries. AKA missionaries. Yeah, when you go look up the two words, they're the same thing. See, what reason why they came up with missionaries, because during the Barbary slave trade over in Europe, they were snatching up people all over. Fair-skinned folks, that's what they were snatching up. And the Catholic Church had to go get them back. So they trained their missionaries in the art of war and fighting. So you ain't gonna send no guy who can't fight over there. These guys were straight warriors and negotiate these deals to get their people back. So really mercenaries. That's where the term mercenary come from, the church. And they knew how to fight. They wore, that's what they the Jesuit class guys. Those are warriors for the church. You see? So there's all this peaceful loving stuff. And all of this stuff, they still doing those a lot of those missionaries that were incorporated back then, they still exist today. And now what they're doing, they go into these countries with their missionary work, bringing so-called medical intervention, which is poison, and is experimenting on people. So Tuskegee is still going on. Those experiences are still going on, just in different ways. And this next round of vaccines, you're going to see. All right? Entered or served in the armed forces of a foreign state, accepted or performed the duties of an office, post, or an employment under the government of a foreign state or political subdivision thereof, made a formal renunciation of nationality either in the United States or before a diplomatic or consular office of the United States in a foreign state, or been convicted by a court or court-martial of competent jurisdiction of committing any act of treason against or attempting by force to overthrow or bearing arms against the United States or conspiring to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States. So it said line out what applies, right? So what would apply to you? And it said, this is where the guy thought he was smarter than me. He said, it says here, the portion which applies should be lined out. And he was like, none of this applies, so you can't line out none of that. Yes, you can, because it said the portion. So, I don't know why this keeps sleeping on me. Maybe because I'm going through this HDMI. All right. Portion means just that, portion. So I'm the orchestrator of my life, right? So I just pick out what I want. I have, line, taken an oath, made an affirmation, formal declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. I just lined that. Now I made that sentence work for me, right? So what my foreign state is, my religious beliefs, right? Then I skipped down to here, made a formal renunciation of nationality in the United States. For the brother with the security form, he would leave that alone because he's doing the security, right? Now, I just made that work for me. I said line out the portion, so I picked the portion that applies to me so that they know that I'm not a U.S. citizen, right? All my allegiance is to this foreign state, which I'm going to point to in my explanatory statements, right? Then it says, furthermore, now everybody, even if you're not trying to, even if you want to be a U.S. citizen, should be reading this. Furthermore, I have not been convicted of a federal or state drug offense, convicted of a sex tourism crime statute, and I am not the subject of an outstanding federal, state, or local warrant of arrest for a felony, a criminal court order forbidding my departure from the United States, see, they got to have a court order to keep you from leaving the United States, a subpoena received from the United States in a matter involving federal prosecution for or grand jury investigation of a felony. That means that if whoever applied for a passport and didn't line this out, you basically said you're guilty of all of this. You see what I'm saying? So everybody that has a passport that didn't even at least do this part, you just told these people you a drug offender. You involved with sex tourism. Because it said line out what applies to you. They never show you that. So this is why they treat U.S. citizens with hostility, because all of y'all are criminals according to your own hand. Draw a line right on through it. Line it like this. Put a line right on through. I have, because you see it's written, I have not. No, I have taken an oath or made an affirmation or other form of declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. I'm letting them know I'm part of a foreign state. It does get, okay, let's read the instructions. See, this will always get people right here. They get, because they so used to meaning that, right. Well, I'm gonna let this tell you what it says. If any of the below mentioned acts or conditions have been performed by or applied to the applicant, The portion which applies should be what? See? They're doing it backwards. Usually you underline what applies. Lining out means it doesn't apply. In our layman's world, that's what we've been taught. So they know you've been taught line out means doesn't apply. But here they wrote it in reverse. To purposely confuse your mind. That's why I had to read it over and over again until you grasped it. There ain't nothing wrong with you. What it is, you trying to undo that programming that they put in your head and reprogram your mind for what this is actually saying. This says that does it reverses. It reverses on how it reads. See how it reads? I have not since acquiring did any of these, so I have to say I have done it. This one says, furthermore, I have not been convicted. So if you haven't been convicted, you need to line, this all applies, line the whole thing out. I have none of these problems, so I will line this whole this paragraph applies to me, and I need to line it out because it applies to me. Now you get it? Right. That you did. Right. 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 See how that's why I said y'all leave here with a headache by the time I go through all of this stuff. You know? You just leave a knot. You don't just say I have since acquiring, or you say I have. Don't do this. Don't say this because you never had citizenship. You say I have taken an oath or made an affirmation or other form of declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. Right. There's another part, some people would line through it, but the most important part was that last one I just told you to line out. Yeah, I don't bring the other one because some people did make formal enunciations. They, did come in as naturalized citizens, you see? So, but mostly everybody, even U.S. citizens or not, need to be lining this out and supply a explanatory statement with it saying you have never been convicted of anything. Right. You just line it out and then put explanatory statements with it because the rules is clear. Line applies and give a supplementary explanatory statement under oath happened by the applicant to confirm everything you lined out. You see? And they never read that to you. Never. Yeah, you got to get a new contract. So you have to turn that one in and apply for a new one. Now, I wouldn't do that now. COVID-19 is slowing everything down, and it looks like they might do another roll of things, and you might want to get out of the country, get out of here for a little bit of while, if things get crazy, Yeah, they're going to take the old one. They're going to give you a whole new number. Remember, it's a contract, so you got to create a new contract the correct way. Just give it to them. Like I did. Just give it to them. The driver's license, see, in my process, I teach you how to correct all of that. Social Security card, the driver's license, all that. I have an explanatory statement. Let me show you. I want the newer one because the older one. Oh, you know what? Here's the newer one, but this is for the driver's license. But normally this would say passport explanatory statement. That's what that would say. But I was updating. I had to go, since I did the name change, I was updating everything. So I just took driver's license, but then this says passport explanatory. These explanatory statements are done based upon my religious instructions and beliefs, and as required by the action conditions listed in the instructions on page 4. So I didn't finish this off. But this would be passport, but this is how the affidavit actually looks. So affidavit of right of South Carolina driver's license, that would say a right to passport application. Then see attached public law 97-280. What does 97-280 say? That's the template for the passport. It said 94-280, right? No, I use the same document for everything, but I just adjust the headings for what I'm doing it for. So if it's the passport, so I'm using this as an example. I might be able to, just for saving time, just using that one. Let me see if I can, that's the copy. This might be the one for the passport. Yeah, that's it. That's the same thing. See, it's the same. It just says passport explanatory statement. And then I put up here in red, these explanatory statements are to remain with and attached to the passport application in order for this passport application to be true and correct under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America. That's another thing. If I'm trying to not be a U.S. citizen, I got to be clear where I'm coming from, where I'm hailing from. I think it's USC 1746. Unsworn declarations. So sometimes you can't get to a notary, but they'll accept an unsworn declaration, right? So if you want to execute without the United States, because that's how you want your paperwork to look, it should be, if executed without the United States, I declare or certify, verify, or state under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America that the foregoing is true and correct. And then you put the executed on date and signature. Remember when Trump, Michael Cohen, got in trouble and he wrote an affidavit? And this is how he did it. He signed it like this without the United States. He didn't say this one. So if you are executing within the United States, you go executed within the United States, its territory, possession, or commonwealth, I declare or certify, verify, state under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. That's it. If you just say that, that's in the United States. Now, when you looked at the IRS form 1040, it just says, I declare, it says this. Letting you know you're doing that within the United States. Now you're in their jurisdiction. That's why you had problems. You see? Now, when I do it like this, I'm without the United States. So whenever you addressing these people, you ain't got to do it to me like that, but you need to be saying I declare after everything with this, because that signifies you're doing it without the United States. Right. Right. Now, so after the right United States of America passport, because it's not a U.S. passport, although the application says U.S. passport application, but I showed y'all my card. It was United States, was nowhere on it. It said United States of America, which is the Confederation title. All right? It is not United States. Really, United States full title is United States in Congress assembled. That's the full title of the United States. United States is the shortening form. So that tells you Congress is the one who, there's no United States if Congress is not assembled. So when they take a break, United States is shut down. Okay? They don't exist until Congress assembles. Right. That's why they be trying to make the laws before they take their break, because the United States is no longer there unless they're there. You see? Right. In Article 8 of the Constitution, it tells you that the United States only exists within 10 miles square of D.C., the District of Columbia. But by cession of a particular state. Cession, the word cession means the formal giving up of rights of a state. So in order for them to get jurisdiction, that state has to formally give up its rights to its citizens for them to come in. That's why they created, that's when we going back to what I taught y'all earlier, how they did the 14th Amendment. That was a formal giving up of rights. Then 1895, Constitution started, and in their Constitution says every citizen of this state owe allegiance to the United States. So that's why I don't agree with calling yourself a state citizen. You don't want that. You want American national. If you are a Georgian American national, if you want to find the tribe you come from, pick that. You know, Cherokee American national. Cherokee, I don't like that because that's another made-up term. That's not the real indigenous people. That's the Under the Doors Act. You can come be a Cherokee Indian. We give you all these benefits, and that started the $5 Indian routine, and they didn't even get them benefits. They just put them on reservations. You see what I'm saying? So, but there are tribes out there getting checks every month from the government. Yes, every check. And I know a couple of these people getting where their family get these checks, and they know nothing about what it's all about. I said, do you understand what this is? Did you go to college? Yeah. Did you pay for it? Yeah, I got student loans now. I said, if you have registered under these, you wouldn't have to pay for all that. What? They'll say they want to know, and then I'm ready to do the business with them. They won't move forward. I know a girl right now. Oh, because she don't like how straightforward I am, she don't want to work with me. Well, you stay broke. You know, don't mind how I say it. Mind what I'm saying that could save you. You know? I wanted to work with her because she had the actual card that they get. And I said, this would open my mind up to help all other people that don't know about these things. This is why we stay stuck. It ain't them keeping us stuck. It's our own people that won't give you the information that you need to help free everybody else. And that's what she didn't want. She didn't want everybody else to get help. And she wasn't using the benefit herself. You got something back there, somebody? Thought I heard somebody. Okay, so I use this scripture. Exodus 20, and God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, and computer shut down, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. The government wants you to think of him as God. That's why they have in God we trust. They ain't talking about that God. They talking about government over dominions. That's what God really stands for. Okay? And take further notice, Holy Bible, Romans 12, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, meaning I'm not going to be a U.S. citizen, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove that what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So all of this is right at the beginning. So they can't turn this down. Take special notice of Christ's word at Matthew 18:6. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he would drown in the depth of the sea. That's my warning. Don't mess with me, because this is what you need to be doing if you stumble me. Good. Right, you just switch it up. Right, yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Use it. I just use that because that's where I'm known. But I might switch it up and use what you're talking about. Because I do have a Bible that said all of the names of God, Yah, Elohim, and all of those things are in there. Actually, those are the original, I know, yeah, those are all the original names. We're using made-up names, like Jesus is a made-up name. That's a straw man name. You know, because the letter J didn't exist until 500 years ago. I am fully aware of all of the misconceptions, but sometimes I speak in their tongue. Remember, yeah, right. Well, you can use, no, in this case, you can use those names. Yeah, use them. I'm not saying nothing wrong with that because it's all about religion. Right. They can't, I've been saying it, but I haven't shown the proof. Let me do that. Let me get the actual PDF so I don't have to scroll through all of this. Well, I can use that one. Then go to the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Rights. All of them say this. I just picked one out of a hat, and it says right here: religious freedom, freedom of speech, right of assembly, petition. The General Assembly shall make no law respecting and establish a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's in every constitution. You're going to see that at the very top. The reason why they did this, because the people that wrote this wanted to protect their religious freedoms. What were they doing when they first came over here? They were trying to convert the indigenous people to their form of beliefs. So they wrote this in as a protection. The colonizers didn't write that. Your ancestors wrote that. Okay? Stop thinking that they got this stuff from the indigenous people. It's called the Great Law of Peace. I got a whole congressional record where they break down how what they're calling the founding fathers got the constitutional provisions from the Great Law of Peace from the indigenous people here. No. From England? No. How can they do that? Let's make sense of that. England is a what? What type of government is it? A monarchy. So how can they have, this is supposed to be what? A democracy, right? Really a republic, right? By law, right? So this type of government, the people run things. And they control the small group of people. Right? They put them in office to be in control, and them people are trustees for you to make sure you as a beneficiary get what that Constitution says they're supposed to do. Constitutions are written to keep them in check. It's not, you don't have constitutional rights. You have what you call unalienable rights protected by the Constitution. Right? So when people say, I got constitutional rights, no, you don't. You never took an oath to that. They did. This is the only thing they take an oath to. Every officer take an oath to this. And people say, well, the Constitution is dead. Then how come the president just took an oath to it? To defend it. How come every officer, before he get commissioned, take an oath to it if it's so dead? And it says defend. What does defend mean? That they will die for it. Okay? If it came down to it, they will kill someone who infringes on this. And because we not activating them in the right capacity. We don't know. We so dumbed down. Even the ones who take the oath don't know. They take a cliff note type of like they get a little lesson on it and then they take an oath. They don't even know the whole thing. I've seen someone take an oath to the do you know if you become the legal guardian of somebody, you gotta take an oath to the Constitution? I watched a person, my fiance, took an oath because her son's handicapped. You know, he's not had the mental capacity, so we went in there so that she can be deemed him incompetent to take care of his fears so she can take care of it, right? She took an oath of the Constitution, and she ain't never read the Constitution in North Carolina in her life. I'm sitting here with my eyes like this. You taking an oath to something, you won't even know what it says. Right? Well, luckily she had me, I know what it says. But I'm saying they got people taking oaths to stuff that they know nothing about. So that's the same way with these cops. They don't know that they're pulling you over and what they're doing is illegal. You know, like a little side note, I can show you where it's illegal. That's your religious freedoms. Here it is. Attainder, Section 4. Ex post facto laws, impairment of contract, titles, affection of conviction. No bill of attainder, ex post facto law impairing the obligation of contract, nor law granting any title of nobility or hereditary emolument shall be passed, and no conviction shall work corruption of blood. So they're saying ex post facto law, bill of attainder. What's a bill of attainder? Let's look it up. They ain't even, I don't want Latin. I want English. Where's the English part? Oh, that's the translation. The definition. Item of legislation prohibited by the U.S. Constitution that inflicts attainder without judicial process. Meaning, they convict you of something like a traffic ticket without having a trial by jury. That's what that means. You need to go through the judicial process in order for them to charge you something. So what a bill of attainder would be is you driving, no registration, no license, and they want to tow your car and take it. In order for you to get it back, you got to pay them. That's a bill of attainder. They didn't go through judicial process to take your property, number one. Now, to get it back, you got to pay them to get it back, right? And no judge said you were guilty when you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So to pay a fine or a towing fee is a bill of attainder. You didn't go through the judicial process, and I'm paying to get my property back. You didn't get permission from a court to even take my car. That's all bill of attainder. Guess what else is a bill of attainder? Driver's license. You telling me I have to get a driver's license, and if I don't get one, you're going to fine me, and guess what? I got to come to you to get it. You making me get something, and I got to pay you to get it. That sounds like extortion to me. Right? Isn't that? We just do these things mindlessly, and they're not right. You're saying I am required to have this in order to not get stopped, to be in compliance, but I got to pay you to get it. Why can't I just have it as a benefit and get it free? Give it to me if you're making it a requirement. That's like you coming to my house. Hey man, you can have it. You got to come to my house to eat. Come to my house and eat. But now I'm gonna charge you to eat my food. But you got to come. You gonna look at me like, are you crazy? Right? So they got you eating at a table without giving you a choice. That's a bill of attainder. And it forbids that. Ex post facto law. That's a law. Anything law they wrote after this, and it contradicts this, is ex post facto law. So all of your driver's license laws, all those codes and statutes, those laws are ex post facto law. Because now you're being punished for something that wasn't a law back then. So driver's license, IRS laws, all of those are ex post facto laws. And you can use this to defend. I stick this, I had open, like with that debt with the IRS, the state tried to take my bank account. IRS wasn't bothering me because I had them at bay, but I was sending something to the state was ignoring it, didn't respond to letters, so they went into one of my bank accounts and took about $100, right? But it's $2,400 debt that they said I owe. So all I did was take the Constitution and stick it in their face, and then they backed off. I said, he said, well, you owe this money. I said, did y'all get a court order to say I owe this money? Well, we don't have to. I said, the Constitution says you got to go through judicial process in order to get this money. Bill of attainder. So they took my money without judicial process. That's a bill of attainder. That's another example. Okay? All that stuff they're doing is wrong. All right. Right. They did it without a court order. And the bank giving up your money. Did I give you permission to give my money to someone else? Without a court order? Child support, same way. They don't be having court orders. They just be sending these things saying you owe, and then your job give them the money. But you don't know what you're looking at. You think it's right. So here's another one. All courts shall be public, and every person shall have speedy remedy therein for wrong sustained. So when they take you to jail and you sit in 2 and 3 days in jail, they're supposed to take you to the judge immediately. You're not supposed to sit there and wait on the judge to get in. They're supposed to take you before that judge as soon as they got you, because what y'all don't understand is there's 2 types of warrants. There's an arrest warrant, and there's a warrant to incarcerate you. Most times they only have the arrest warrant. Okay, we got him. Now, before we go to jail, we need to get a warrant to have him in jail. That's why you ever go to, I've been in that position before. They said, well, you can't see the judge until the warrant gets here. You ever heard that term? Never? You can't see the judge until the warrant comes. They tell you that. They be open with it. Your warrant's not here, so you can't see the judge. Then I ain't supposed to be in jail because the judge can't see you without having a warrant in front of him. So you're not supposed to be locked up without a warrant. They're supposed to have a warrant to have you in jail. This arrest is different from incarceration. There's two different warrants. The arrest is just to take you into custody. And then you got to go see the judge, and then the judge writes the custody order. You see? Everything has to be done by judicial process when it comes to putting someone in jail. But they skip those steps all the time. And that's what I exploit. Because they do it backwards. They take you to jail before they even have the arrest warrant. Then they put you in jail before they have the custody warrant. You see? Yes, you can. But I would sue the insurance because they all have bonds. So you just sue the insurance. See, once an officer gets sued against the insurance, then he becomes unbondable. He can't be a police officer. That's the best way to get an officer off the force. And the second best way to get him is something no one ever used. It's through civil rights violation. You go to FBI.gov and say he violated your civil rights and point out that he didn't have any of these things. And then they're going to ask you, is it a pattern of abuse? Check that off. The FBI got to investigate. And even if it don't go anywhere, guess what happens? It's a part of the record. And guess what happens? That raises insurance rates. See, you got to attack where the money is. Where the money. And money is, them insurance bonds are expensive. And you become unbondable, you know, even though these guys get off for shooting and killing people, his insurance goes up. Because now they have to pay off that. Who you think pays that? The insurance. That's why they get dismissed from one place and then they go get hired somewhere else. Yeah, there it is. So let's go back to the who was on the passport. Oh, I was looking at the affidavit. All right, there's the affidavit. Then I say, I declare that my name is Akeem Barber, proper style, a.k.a. Barber Akeem, under the sole authority and allegiance to the irrevocable Abrahamic covenant, which is a foreign state. So I just use their language in my paperwork. And then I say I'm a free inhabitant and native North American, Indian, New York, and national, but not a citizen of the United States and free inhabitant of South Carolina. You never want to say you're a resident. You're a free inhabitant. Right. 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 Residents are for U.S. citizens. You know, like I was saying before, I didn't finish. You don't want to get mail at the house. Mail at the house is received for dead people. If you look at a mailbox, doesn't it resemble a coffin? It resembles a coffin because that's what it is. All dead entities go in that box. That's why they don't bring it to the door. They put it in the box. They put it in the coffin. And then you go open up the coffin and bring out all that dead entities into your house. All of this is all by spiritual law. Oh, that's what I was trying to show y'all, that public law. What was it? Public Law 94-280. And I'm going to use this as an affidavit. Where's the actual, this ain't it. Huh? That last page I was showing was the Constitution. Hold on, let me find out. Let me go back to my document. Oh, it's 97-280. I'm like, that don't look like 97. of law 97. All right. This is where I'm using this in my paperwork because they have ordained the Bible as the Word of God. Whereas the Bible, the Word of God, has made a unique contribution in shaping the United States as a distinctive and blessed nation and people, whereas deeply held religious convictions springing from the Holy Scriptures led to the early settlement of our nation, whereas biblical teachings inspire concepts of civil government that are contained in our Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States, whereas many of the great national leaders, among them Presidents Washington, Jackson, Lincoln, and Wilson, paid tribute to the surpassing influence of the Bible in our country's development. In the words of President Jackson, the Bible is the rock on which our republics rest. They just showed you that it's a republic, not a democracy. Right there. Right? Uh-huh. Actually, you don't see democracy nowhere in any of these legal documents. They always say republic. You only hear of democracy on what? On television. In the news. See, they got you believing slavery based off TV programs. But even in that, you'll see the truth. Because all they did was snatch people from one end, like the North, tribal people, and bring them to the South. There was no way they brought them across the African water. It was too rough. And where's them boats? They got all these other samples of everything. Where's the boats? Right? Then, I'll skip all down. Resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Now, do you notice? Now, it says United States of America in Congress assembled. It didn't say United States in Congress assembled. So this is the republic who made this. That's a different entity than the one I talked about before. Why? Because let me show you. See, you got to watch these people and is this plugged in? Not charging. That's why it's going out, because it's not charging. So, all right, let's move this. This will be. Still not charging. All right. What is going on? Got it. That's why I keep going out. All right, what I was looking up. Okay, let's go to Avalon. Articles of Confederation. Now, see what it says? The style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. So where's U.S.? It's not there. Now, notice how I was reading. And it's all properly styled, upper and lower. Right? It says each sovereignty, each state, see how it's written? Each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence in every power, jurisdiction, and right which is not by this confederation expressly delegated to the United States in Congress assembled. I just read you a public law that said United States of America in Congress assembled. So that's a different entity than this. You see? And then the reason why we use free inhabitant is because it tells you right here. The better, when they created this confederation, this is what they wrote in Article 4, the Section 4. The better to secure and perpetuate mutual friendship and intercourse among the people of the different states in this union, the free inhabitants of each of these states, paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice accepted, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of free citizens in the several states, and the people of each state shall free ingress and regress to and from any other state. This is your right to travel, not the driver's license. They tell you you have have and they use free inhabitants. So when I write paperwork, I say I am a free inhabitant of the land of South Carolina. You see? Or I could say free inhabitant of the state of South Carolina, styling it properly. You see what I'm saying? If I put it on caps, and I'm talking about the right South Carolina. You see? This is all of these. That's why you have to read this stuff. And this also says, full faith and credit shall be given to each of these states to the records, actions, judicial procedures of the courts and magistrates of every other state. So they're telling you that if a judicial action happens in this state, I can take that record to another state and it have the still force and effect of the other state. So, some parts I use constitutions from other states. They got so. And that's pretty much, I have other things. I also have the rescission of signatures off all of the old stuff. I also wish to make it clear that I am not a statutory citizen and make no claim of statutory citizenship created by the state, y'all put a capital S, or federal government. I hereby extinguish, rescind, revoke, cancel, abrogate, annul, nullify, discharge, and make void ab initio. Ab initio means to its beginning, meaning I'm voiding that out from the beginning. All right? All signatures belonging to me and all previously filed SS5s, Internal Revenue Service, W4 form. I'm catching everything, 1040. So I'm voiding everything out that I was connected to. This is why I say the passport is important. Because this comes from the Secretary of State. They issue the passport. This will be on record. And then you get a certified copy or authenticated copy of your record. And you keep it for your files with this gold seal on it. That proves how you did your application. And you keep that. And somebody try to say you a U.S. citizen. Yeah, I take this same letter, readjust it. Hey, I need to correct records. I need you to have this on file. They might say stuff like, well, how are we going to put it on file? I said, well, what do you do with the birth certificate when I give you a copy of that? Oh, we just make a copy of it, scan it in. Well, do the same thing with that. Right. Yeah. Sometimes you got to think for them. Huh? Oh, that's on my website. I have that up as a part of the process. These here, this comes from another guy, so I was sending you to him, and you can get this declaration, this here, you talking about? Which one you talking about? This is passport. This is after you do your passport, you just pay them to get this. Here, yeah. Yeah, you just put this declaration. You could do this before or after. This is something extra, just letting them know in my proper name that that's my name. I think I paid that dude. It was two different. It was a power of attorney, and then it was this. I put him. I think it was like $300 to get everything. Yeah, I'm gonna give you all his information, and you just go to him and get it. Now that guy, just get that POA and declaration of status from him. Oh, this is what this is. POA is power of attorney. You want to have power of attorney of that in legis, that straw man. And you want it filed. I'm going to actually try, let me see if I can find you. Hang on. Let me see something. The passport is the main thing. Yeah. POA, you can do power of attorney in conjunction with that. Y'all get it done here easy if you just send it off to Lamar County. They file everything. Lamar County, Georgia. Yeah. I have the information where you just send it off to them. Now they take a while now. Like that document I filed took almost 6 months. All right, let me see if I can find. All right. All right, I'm about to pull this up. All right, go ahead. Mm-hmm. You're not renouncing anything. You never was. Okay, you can't renounce any. I just showed you who you really was. You was born here in Georgia, right? So you're Georgian, American national. That's not renouncing. You can't renounce something that you never had. You made assumptions that you was. Yeah. You just correct the way you fill out paperwork now. You say, don't, yeah, say no. Check that off. Yeah. All right. Now, this is my power of attorney. And you notice how my address is on there? In general post office, so that they don't have me down as a registered a resident, then a registered mail number, me mailing it. And this is filed in York County, South Carolina. First, I need to get rid of all assumptions that I am that all cap name. Revocation of previous power of attorney. Akeem Barber, that's the all cap Department of Health. This is my birth certificate number. In legis. Letting you know what y'all know what an in legis is? Huh? It is, right? There's a definition. It's Latin for a creature of law, an artificial being as contrasted with a natural person. So when they put you in all caps, that's an in legis, a creature of law, artificial being. That's why they give you documents with that all caps, so that you can represent the artificial being. Okay? So, I'm looking at the wrong thing. They just drop you in there. And you take it hook, line, and sinker. Person in probate by the seal of the city of New York, registrar, grantor of the Akeem Barber, so that estate. That's an estate that they created. Once they create that birth certificate, send it off to the Social Security Administration, it becomes an estate. And it's an actual account. Do hereby revoke and nullify all authority with or without express or implied powers of attorney previously appointed and presumed. So I'm taking all their power of attorneys away, and I create mine. I'm not going to read all of that. Now here's the appointment of power of attorney. I, Akeem Barber and League, is holding the office of person, because that's a person. Department of Health, that's not me, but it's a person. In Department of Health and Mental Hygiene of the City of New York, file number, that is my actual birth certificate number. Do hereby appoint the living man, who? A true man of God, who is in the age of majority and the age of discretion, as my duly appointed lawful attorney, in fact, on this 13th day of second month of the year, 2020. So I just did this earlier this year. I further constitute and restore full power of attorney, in fact, immediately to the living Akeem Barber, a civilian domiciled on the land of South Carolina. If I was to redo this, I would change that out. But I left it. I would put a divine inhabitant domiciled on the land of South Carolina, something to that effect. to act on behalf in my place instead over all my business affairs. The powers listed below is in this section are not exclusive of any other power and authority to act, but are expressed for clarity of purpose relating to the specific matters. All other powers of attorney not expressed herein are granted to secure unalienable rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness in every situation. This durable power of attorney is durable and is not terminated by subsequent incapacity of the principal. Then I initial everything. Real property transactions, that's what that talks about. Tangible personal private property transactions, stock and bond transactions, commodity and option transactions. Covers everything. That's just me signing. It don't matter. That's my mark. Yeah. Right. 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 See, you're not power of attorney before. You what you call a trustee. So trustee is responsible for paying bills and doing all that stuff, right? But I'm the power of attorney, meaning I get to delegate who's going to be my trustee now. Who's going to handle all my affairs, which is going to be one of them government entities instead of me. And then you get this, I put my corporate seal on it. I have a corporate seal that say Barbara Akeem doing business as Akeem Barber seal, and that's the date of birth, 10/27/1969, Bronx County. That's what that birth certificate came out of. I got a seal with that on it. Yeah, because that's a corporation. No, this is not me. This is representing, see it says corporate seal? It's representing the corporation Akeem Barber. You see? Huh? No, one time. One time, that's all you need. Yeah, that's why I showed you that other thing. I have certified copies of that. I didn't get a chance to, so I'm gonna do this right now. If y'all ever want something and you need to get it into PDF form really quick, get you some software called TurboScan. I just scanned it just then. And I'm going to email it to myself so I can show you all on this computer. I have taken that all cap name and I got a patent on it. Nobody can use that name. They can't use it for religious nothing because this thing, I set it up on the, you got to pick what category. So I set it up under religion, ecclesiastical. United States of America, United States Patent and Trademark Office. This name belongs solely to me. Right there. Mm-hmm. It is. Now, only thing, they put this United States individual in there. I didn't like that, but it was no way around it. I just wanted that patent. I still am in my own, the right jurisdiction, so I'm not worried about that. Class 45, ecclesiastical services, namely ordaining ministers to perform marriage. Yes, I am an ordained minister and I can perform marriages. Ceremonies to a non-denominational interfaith church, providing a website featuring information for local church leaders in the field of Christian growth. So that means everything I do with my website is religious, religious purposes. And that's what I tell them. I say, this isn't, when they call me and pay me for consultation, hey, this is a religious consultation. This is part of the church. You know, everything I say, the mark consists of a standard characters without claim to any particular font style, size, or color. The name Akeem Barber identifies a living individual who is of record, and this is the file. So they can't touch that. No one can use that for that purpose ever. So I take this and send it to, I think it's the Department of Justice, or it's send it to Customs. So even somebody overseas try to do something with that name, they see it, they block it. Yes. But guess what that does? When you get stopped for stuff, they're doing commerce with you. That all caps. They can't do nothing with that either. They can't write a ticket on it because that name is locked down. Yeah, they'll see that. Yes, they'll see the trademark. They can't put that nowhere. This is trademark. They can't make no money off that. You see? Yeah. Yeah. That's we want to take ownership of this name before they do. It's called. It costs about $225 to do that. Yeah. Yeah. I got a video on it. I sent it to you. It's a video on it. Yeah. You just go and put it in. It takes about. I did it in. I think around June-ish. Yeah, because it takes time because they got to publish it, see if somebody beef don't want it. You know, hey, I'm claiming that. And then it just got finalized November the 3rd. Takes about 6 months. Yeah. Any name that you want to, now remember, each class that you patent is more money. So deviations, they're gonna charge more. So I just wanted that because that's what's on the social. So I would say patent. The social is written first, middle, last. That's what you want to patent. That. No, I don't have a middle name. Yeah. That's why you don't have a middle name. I don't have a middle name. Mm-hmm. That's not you. Because it's not your proper name that you were given at birth. You got to let them know. You just taking an assumption and you just let them roll with it. So, any more questions? Because that's the passport thing. Akemail.com is my website. I do consultations. Some of y'all probably have some issues y'all didn't want to put in front of everybody here. You can just call me up. My consultations are $60 for 15 minutes. A lot of people, oh, that's a little bit of time. Trust me, most issues be handled in 5 minutes. I used to do 30 minutes. And I'll be sitting there listening to them just tell me stories for 30 minutes. When we've already solved, but like, most, really, if people just stay to the point, things can be done like that. But they don't. They want to tell the whole story behind it. And for some strange reason, people think their problems are different from everybody else. So I suggest y'all ask me now. No matter what it is, I'm not going to judge you for whatever problems you got. That's not my job. My job is to help you. But if you feel like privately you got something to say, go to akemaatdell.com, set up a consultation. It'll give you a time and date. We be there. You call me, and I'm there to listen to everything you got to say. Privately. Okay, no problem. I'd love to come. I love this place. Nice and roomy. The people, good peoples, you know. I didn't get not one Doubting Thomas in this room today. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. Oh. Spirit made him leave. Huh? Huh? It said debt collector letter. That's it. On my website. Go under templates. Most of the stuff I have a video with it, and you just follow it. Like that passport process is there, A to Z. But with the other service I have is my premium membership. You last in it for a year, and that's where I walk you by hand through the process, make sure you get that passport. There's only 2 things I ask when it comes to that. If you got child support issues that's $2,500 and over, let me know before you try to apply for that passport. They're not going to give it to you. If you got a debt with the IRS, $50,000 or over, let me know. We need to attack that first before you try to get that passport. Or they're going to reject it, and passport applications only last 90 days. So keep that in mind. Those are the two things. A lot of people, they don't want to tell me, then they apply, then they get the letter saying, oh, you ain't getting it because of this. I said, dude, tell me this before. Let's work on that and then go for the passport. You know, let's shut that. Because I can shut down pretty much anything. But child support and IRS are time-consuming things. Yes, there is a fee for me to help you do that. But, you know, I work through it, and it takes time. It ain't going to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for you to get there. It ain't going to happen overnight. You know, IRS they don't like letting go their sheep. That came under section 045. I had to pick what class I wanted that name patented under. So somebody can use that name, Akeem Barber, if they want to be an artist. You see? So each class that I pick, I got to pay for it. So if I wanted all 8 classes, I had to kick out some bread. Remember, that's like, it was 225. I think it's like 125 per section. Yes. So that means they got to go through every section to see nobody else is using that name. And let me have it. So each class you pick, so I went and found the ecclesiastical thing because that's consistent with what I'm doing. I do everything under spiritual law because that's supreme. And they recognize it as supreme. But if you go in the courtroom and don't say anything about it, they don't care. It ain't their job to bring it up. It's your job. You can get the debt collector letter in the sue debt collectors bundle. And then there's a third-party debt collector letter. It's very hard to see that thing on that phone. You're going to have a time finding it on the phone. All right. CPN name change. Motion to dismiss template. I got one for that if you need that. I got one. They're about to come up with these vaccinations. I got a religious vaccination template. You know, stop that. They're about to want to stick y'all for this virus thing. There it is right there, bro. There's the sue debt collectors bundle. That comes with the third-party debt collector. That's the lawsuit, all of that stuff. Actually, let's see what it says is in there. I think I got a list of templates to sue debt collectors. That's a big file. I got a bunch of little files in it. Then you got to hit the load more probably to get the third-party debt collector. There it is right there. It comes with the letter and a no-contact contract, meaning you send them the third-party debt collector questioning the debt, and then the no-contact contract is saying don't ever contact me again or you owe me some money. Don't even transfer it to someone else. You owe me some money, which they like to do all the time. And even after I send that letter, they still transfer it. They don't care. But that's grounds for suit. That's a cause of action. Mm-hmm. But you told them not to do it. Yeah. I send it to the primary too. I do. See how it flows, but really it's for that third-party debt collector, not the original. But remember, they become a third-party debt collector if they're coming at you in a different name than who you signed the contract with. Yeah, that's not technically a third-party debt collector. From the same place. Of course. Loan, you could do that. Defaulting on it. But if you could pay it, you know. Don't. This is for when you're in a situation where you have no choice, you know. Just try to pay it off, get rid of it. Just don't get yourself in that situation again. But there's people in situations where they just can't pay it. And people calling them, just shuts all that down. You know? You need the credit repair bundle. That's on there too. Huh? No, there's two different things. That's to fight them. Then there's a credit repair bundle. That's a whole separate process, showing them what to do to get it off the credit. You could do all. Don't be paying these people $500, all this money. You could do all that yourself. Credit profile number. Stay away from that one. You ain't ready for that. Huh? Well, yeah, because they went and got the money. CPNs are not illegal. Like they'll tell you it's not illegal to sell a person a CPN number. What's illegal is you go get the credit and don't pay it. You know, that's what makes it legal. That's fraudulent intent. But if you get it, because I use CPNs all the time. I have 2 of them. I pay the bill. I ain't never had a problem. You know, they try to discourage people from doing it through fear because that's another form of freedom. But CPN's been around for long. I used to sell them, but then I got tired of, because there was so many crooks running, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay away from that because I'm inviting crooks to it. Now, I have videos to show you how to do it yourself. Everything I have on there show you no, it's just the video. Buy the video and it show you what to do. And now what I'm showing you is what I did, not some website. Yeah. What do you mean, the letter for? No, if you have a third party. No, because if you don't shut them down, they're going to put it right back on the credit, even if you get it off. So you got to shut them down. They'll go and put it on there. So you need to do that in conjunction. So you need to fight them, stop them, and fix the credit. Separate credit. Right. They have to fix theirs individually. It'll still be on theirs. So you the primary. Wait a minute. I know, so they did a bait and switch. They told you were the co-signer, and you turn around, you was actually the primary of it, and they were the co-signer. They do that all the time. In those cases, you get your free car. Yeah, they took the car, but when you first got that loan, you were supposed to go to the state comptroller and complain how they defrauded you on that thing. Yeah. When they do stuff like that, that's a fraudulent activity. You were supposed to be the co-signer. But where you signed that, did you sign as co-signer? But if you look at the paperwork, what does it say? Well, you don't remember how you signed it. Okay. What? You never signed it physically. Oh. It's the lessons. Read what you're getting. Because you thought you was a co-signer because she could have just been telling you to co-signer. Don't know. I'm not trying to throw shade out there, but I'm saying you don't know unless you were sitting there with that person who gave her the paperwork, what they said. You only heard what she said. You signed it. Huh? Right. Right. And they'll do anything to get them loans. They don't tell you. Ain't that crazy though? That could have been solved easily just by going to get the car. You know, they'd be ashamed to tell you what's going on. Now they want the balance of it. Yeah, third-party debt collectors, just fight them that way. Yeah. There's no need in going after whoever you did the contract with. Go after the third-party debt and shut them down. Get it off of credit. How long ago was it? When they took the car? Man, it'd been nice if it happened during COVID. Yeah, because then they couldn't take no cars then. For a while, they couldn't. I know they can do it now. They couldn't take them cars. Yes, sir. It works. It works in your situation where they're trying to get you, if they're trying to get money after the fact, you got the house going, yes, that'll work. But if you're in the house, it ain't going to stop you from suing for that house, going for a foreclosure. Right? You can use it, but I don't advise you. Because mortgages, fighting for houses is one of the hardest things to do because they don't want to give nobody a free house. So, and a lot of guys do it, and they have not been successful. Now, here's what I tell you. I can stop a foreclosure only if you get it when they first sue you. Because what am I going to sue them under? I'm going to stop them under what I told you. A lawyer is going to come in there and try to testify against you, and I could do a motion to dismiss right out the gate and shut it down right there. So if it's way like this, people who've been fighting mortgage for 10 years, and they done did all these different processes in it, it's almost impossible for me to undo that because you already accepted service, you already answered their complaint. For me to come and try to argue, well, this is not evidence when you've already valid. Like I had, this woman was, I have to say she was stupid. She's arguing with them the argument I gave them, right? Hey, this is not evidence. They brought the note in. They actually brought the original note, which is very rare, in there, right? And I said, well, dispute that because you don't have nobody at that table was there to see you sign that, right? She did all that, doing good. Guess what she do next? She said, let me see the note. And then she goes in and strikes her signature off the note. And called me up proud of herself. Boy, you good.